I came here and I looked at human society as a part, and in it, I felt the pain of a million billion people, and they're all dying. I could not remember most of what I felt was some of the most important fundamental concepts that erased and escaped me. In my thoughts, desperate to survive and avoid the dying and the death, and try to understand what could be done to avert the sad fate of humanity, the terrible fear and suffering, and the universal disagreement and agreement we can't all agree to, the eternal life, the eternal death, the fear of death and rebirth. And if I can't escape life alive and I can't avoid death, what could I do forever to help myself? Dramatic as it may seem to you, he who avoids the dying events or the death in a thought of thoughts of immortality, and you who fears nothing, especially not death or the dying life or the living alive, hear me, O God. I am the original sin suffering in and out of it, utterly missing my guilt and guilty of it. As it may seem, I imagine if I got lucky enough to actually have the audience, the observation, the blessings, the eyes of God, if fixed upon me, I ask for mercy and forgiveness and say I'm not but guilty of nothing and guilty of everything, looking inside for the God in me. If it can be found, God left me, finding you, and you are the only one that I live or survive, and already dead, even if I live forever, let me escape the death itself and find everlasting life, immortal. So I can live, breathe, and take my final dying breath in the living life forever. I miss you and love you and wish you were here with me, so I'm not alone forever. You were the last good man to be removed from the duds and rejects. If you are not willing to be a pawn for the forces of darkness, don't talk to Satan anymore. Hold fast and be as strong as possible. You are lucky to see through the pitch black veil. Is not that why you asked me? In fact, well, beware the moment you seek good information. You need to keep your shields up at all times. You're in for a rough ride. Tomorrow will blow your socks off. You know there are few things you can't fix in life if you got the guts. Inside the moon, it's very cold and hollow. You must keep your mind closed at all times. It's when you open your mind, your danger becomes apparent. It's all over for the people that crossed you, and you tried to hurt you too, Dennis. They are under the gun and will pay the highest price for what they did. They are planning to hit you so hard tomorrow, you will be surprised how bad the feelings hit you in the morning. Get ready for it too. Same night, different day. I know the truth. It's coming out big time, and it's not good. In fact, it's a deal breaker when it comes to God and his purpose. Entangle them, bring their energy to a point and position where energy collides with matter, and all obstacles in your way are smashed. When you start talking, they chase your spirit in. Fight like a raging, mad lunatic and madman. You monitor airwaves and radio channels all day inside the moon base, listening. Words to listen for: you, me, us, we, ours. Take it as not the punishment. Give is the punishment. How to capture and trap the energies and contain them in a field of control. Imagine. Oh my God, it's me as you, and shocked. Are you kidding me? You are not even kidding me. As angry as me. What the? Wow. Unbelievable. I can't believe that. It's me and together. Okay. Hippostatic gene. A hippostatic gene is one whose phenotype is altered by the expression of an allele. Is one altered? Expression. Phenotype. A set of observable characteristics or traits of an organism. Allele. A variation of the same sequence of nucleotides at the same place, alternative DNA sequences at a locus. Nucleotides, building block of RNA and DNA characteristics, at a separate locus, in. Epiphystasis, event, locus, a full fledgling of God. Achilles killed Apollo and took his head for a prize. The cost of talking, collect calls, direct calls to God. Why would God charge human beings for time talking per minute on the phone? I want you to be aware, Dennis, I'm not even trying to answer that question, yet you only wrote it down so far. Is this a collect call? God said yes, but I heard no in the background. I'm waiting to see if I'm being charged for this call. Having a money issue in the bank, he tells her, if you're going to be my banker, leave me with $0 and no more. He is thankful to God his bank account is at $0 at all times. He is asking God to help him keep it at $0 on his account at all times. I'm looking at the $0 in my account at all times, and I'm appreciating it. It's because it doesn't go into the negative and it can't be overdrawn. It's why I'm appreciating it. It can't be overdrawn. So the $0 is very good. It doesn't go below zero ever. All that is very good, but the naughty girl has regulated a part of her duty. All that is necessary for the voyage to Troy, and all that happened to her happened to me. To achieve a coupling of two strands of DNA would be two strands of DNA coming together, and both halves losing themselves entirely would find a successful coupling of two halves, which demands a loss of both halves coming together, becoming one whole. As the two become one together, the end result is plain and clear. Neither is half anymore, and both are now whole, and two whole strands will not exist after coupling, or they did not come together properly. Coupling, if in the end the two strands, if they're whole together, it will be that both strands are no longer there and in fact exist no more whatsoever. And since there is only one strand there now, if they coupled successfully, if they are both actually still there together, they are not still there standing in any way conceivably apart or alone anymore. In any way, in the sense of it, the matter is the same as if the end result is a true success. They could not tell the difference between each other or one another. The difference between each other was, in fact, no more. They became one. If they literally became one, there wouldn't be both of them there. There would only be one of them there, and it was both of them. The coupling and information sharing required for possible conception, and second, as a result of information sharing and their relationship to all genetic disorders. Dogma, coupling and information sharing only required as before conception, and to conceive and during the process of fetal development, the dogma being only required before but not after the life begins. Statement concerning the facts about central dogma in genetics. Coupling is not required along with information sharing, both before, during, and after conception of the life form, and critical to its continuing healthy existence as a result of, yes, no games to guarantee be played. Helping people remember where they came from, being known for being the best at what you do with no one better anywhere, for being the first man in the world to change the world in a unique way never before seen. Shame on human society for throwing Dennis away to the dogs. Yes, society threw you away like a piece of garbage, mister. The government of the United States knows who you were. I'm needing to couple correctly, and I'm not free to act like God, who is not needing to be coupled and is not being privileged or punished for failing. To take the chance to respect you when they could not, and in a lot less risky and not worse than taking a chance opportunity, the disrespecting you when they could, especially because they don't have to choose to want to give you any respect. Here in a body, hang in there. We're about to launch the next mission to Mars. 2022 is the year you found God. It was a plan. You found him before you got sick or were dying, because otherwise you would not be able to form the relationship properly. She likes denying you what you need to tell you what you need, and then tell you what you don't need, and also threaten you with what you can't have and what you do not want and what she will not give to you as well. No matter what you do for her, she will always cut you down, cut you short of supply, and make a big deal as to why she can't help you and why she has already done so much and why she can't provide everything for you, and you're too dependent and being too needy upon her, which is taking too much advantage of her and her generosity, and she is losing patience with the lack of your effort that you never put in enough time into your uncommitted relationships, and you're lazy, and perhaps she will shoot you down in any way possible to ensure her power grab remains into an enslavement of them feel enslaved by the fact you're not giving her enough and making accusations at you for failing to do as you promised, and why she should put up with the abuse any longer, only she can tell. She's very, very much going to make it all your fault and make you hopefully convince you that you're bad and you should feel bad. And when you look in the mirror, feel really stupid, because you are. You said you need to authenticate, or you don't know what's being said. I have never heard that before. There is no happy day ahead. Every day is a miserable and sad day, and it's really getting bad. We were getting irritated waiting for you to end it. Was taking too long for you to end it. Move in, Aries. End it. I'm not sorry for any inconvenience. There are no good times ahead. No happy days to come. Authentication says, I can't listen to my backwards ass feelings, problematic in every way. It's because of someone telling you your feelings without you or including you in on the conversation. I will need to see what she is doing. It won't be necessary if she is already destroyed. The God of this world is not the world's enemy. He is their God, or this world is enemies with itself forever. You have a connotation for the word vendetta, which is not a word you should agree with. The vendetta against you is to murder your bloodline, and the connotation that is desired to be understood is that nothing is okay with a man forced to take that much punishment and endure that much pain, securing their right to the required laws and ethics of a royal line succession or a bloodline, which is destroyed. I don't want to post, but you could say love you and have been way too busy lately to charge someone with a crime and punish them and not tell them about the law, knowing that they can't not break it. Everything precedes. Honesty is a dishonest world. To charge someone with a crime but don't tell them what the crime is, or that don't even explain to them that what they've been charged with, just punish them for it. So yeah, they won't know how to fix it if they don't even know what the crime is. The world needs to be betrayed on a collective basis. Now, if you can hear me, now if you can fear me, now if you can sear me, endear me, I have missed thee, and now I have kissed thee, not my death and life, forgot to forget, yet forever to remember, like a burning ember, a burning fire is not a liar, of fate gives way to the weight of Apollo's sway. Deserve not your device, your eyes, and much distinct. By your time today, my friend, nothing lost, nothing gained. Your last kiss betrayed the goddess Main, and she was keen with fright and fight and observing your oversight and watching over the world. You who is Apollo's might, sought to join the fight. If your feeling fail to make it right, you will feel the burnt of Apollo's might. Apollo is angry at the human right to think, to possess, to win the fight. The entire story neither black nor white, and crossing nothing doesn't make it right. Now be judgmental if you can see all the injustice done to me. Be judgmental and look down on them in disappointment. How dare them say that fighting is free and putting Apollo and Ares inside of me? And Hermes climbed in and rightfully said, if we don't do something quickly, then we'll all be dead. Is dead now, let's build a wall, Troy. It protects this man, his country, and boy, that has him coming, but way too late then to seal the devil and deal here and find his mate, hell fine friend. What? That is me taking your soul because you won't listen. No authentication. No can do. No listening. Authentication of communication, thought and considered to be non-cooperation, refusal to cooperate. I'm not winning. We know that. Fighting with the principalities of this world, which include me and many more. You cannot think you need to authenticate a message from the enemy. What does the enemy have to say to you that you need to authenticate? It's not we both in a pickle to us. They surrender, needs to be authenticated. They're not surrendering, still in the fight. It's the same fight I'm in. I'm not expecting you to surrender. There is no solution I need, only commit to it as a fact. There is no problem I need, only commit to it as a fact. If I am in the right space, you're your own enemy. I'm that good. Satan, the destroyer of men. Dennis, the destroyer of Satan. I'm tired of losing forever, Satan, God. I need to win forever, Satan, God. Disapprove of that. The goddess is in hiding in. Did not include the adversary in on the possibility of a salvation solution, which the adversary is in, would reject anyway, since Jesus refused to talk to Pilate. First letter of the Paul to Timothy. Unto my own end, to the faith of the grace, mercy, and peace. When I went into that, the mightiest charge some that they teach, no other doctrine, neither give, which is in to do out of a pure heart, having turned in vain to a jangling, desiring to be teachers understood, neither known. We know that it's good if a man use it, knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man, but for the lawless, and disobedient, for the ungodly, for sinners, for unholy, profane, for murderers. I need your help, Satan. Without you and your support, I am a dead man. I am about to embrace on a great crusade, and whoever said that, thanks. Does an entity exist as its own only because off and likes it? Feelings destroyed. It's for a reason. Are you saying you showed a truth you did not see it? Are you trying to give me a reason and a purpose to live, so are lying? And if so, why tell a lie if it saves him? God, you know who you are. I need you. I need you help with being strong enough to takeness. I need you to help me to the devil. I need you to help me. As you have gone beyond the spectrum of time and now should last living a life forever in one body until you should choose the next one in time. It's true that you will be a rich and successful person in this country next year, and healthy too, my friend. Today I am ruined and destroyed by God. Tomorrow I will be reborn again, and I will investigate the notion that I am loved, that I am hated, that I am good, and feel that that's bad. I'm not able to do or see my life as a computer program being carried out. I have full faith that you will be able to save me, and I will not wait, however, to be saved, and I will save myself if I may try it, desperate or not. To survive, I have only one choice. I never liked the world, the war and heaven between. I loved the world. I cherished people and had compassion for all living beings. I was a benevolent entity that enjoyed interacting with others. The goddess is telling you that. I'm going to kill you. Be slow of mind and hold fast. Be slow of mind and hold fast. Cessation. I love you if you love me first. Prove it, but take your time. What if he does not know something that will get him killed? Yes, feelings will feel anxious and overwhelmed. If he failed to see that in the end, he must die because death comes for us all. And he will remember what someone said to him once in Vietnam. And it was that they did not believe it to be genuine, enough for him to survive it. The cancer-causing agents they gave you at the hospital too many times, and they have never seen the cancer-causing agents, Agent Orange. You return, at least not yet, because you are a man of truth who, in his final hour of life, had one last thing good left to say. It's all for nothing if it never stops. And if it goes on forever, this perpetual life of misery, and a shame and a pain and suffering and much, much more, all that have ever lived have died forever in the memory of the time, and to not last forever or any significant length of time, it robs it all of all meaning, and all meaning is robbed by its presence, and it's a giving of life that takes it, and a taking your life that gives it, and it's a giving you death, and giving you death is a giving it life. If you live. Ivory shoulder bone. If the goddess ate a man, she was eternally guilty of crimes to humanity. To trick the goddess Demeter into eating a man, it would still be, as a matter of fact, that she committed the ultimate sin. So accidentally breaking a spiritual law is not excusable. By not knowing, ignorance of what you're doing won't save you every time. And the gods won't come up to your rescue and to see what you've done so you can't stop doing it unless you're Dennis with Hermes and Hermes with Dennis, to see what is guiding you again, as he can't, because he is leaving and not coming and waiting to see who will come. Achilles was ruling the Divine Feminine Collective. It's why he was fighting in Troy. It's also why he was fighting to fight and trying to fight. You can't forget about how the world was destroyed in the past and is bound to repeat itself. If you are really seeking my guidance and going to take it, don't worry as long as you don't. Yes, then you will be able to. At the gates of the city I died, trying to keep the invading forces out. And it was about 7 years into the war before I decided nothing could be fixed or repaired, And as a result of the realization, I became very despondent and very tired of living, and life itself, nothing seemed okay to me anymore. I was planning on fighting at the gates and being intentionally too aggressive so that I would be killed soon enough, because I had had enough of this BS from the Trojan women and men of Troy, who were single-handedly wheeling and dealing in every bad thing from outright lies and deception, and on that blaming each other, overbearing and too deep to undo the full understanding which was not required, for they had none, for absolution, and no one in Troy had any knowledge of anything regarding seeing that. Actually, only the women did, giving rise to the ego, becoming the entity that would be responsible for the destruction of Troy, and in its aftermath, for the very reason for human independence and cohabitation, a truth to be realized no more, that men and women were not now at war and forever. At war guaranteed, because I enforced an edict on the population of Troy that has lasted for thousands of years and is still in effect. But we refuse this as if we have truly got this. Understanding the full potential of your demise, that is possible, we feel it, but we don't know it. That we are not aware of many factors involved with that, we would not choose to take it in the understanding of how it is felt, that we won't like anything that fails to work properly, to hold that truth as required by us, and all involved misses everything that we intend to do. And we intend to try that as best we can. And why we try that, and it's hard to fail, it's a mystery to most of us, and a cold, hard fact, as we trust that we will never be forgetting and never knowing who we should truly trust. If trusting God, we must know, and I say we must, certainly must, as I have risked the highest rewards and at the greatest cost of life and liberty, and that is when, if it is taken from us, we are that much more dedicated to succeed. For if we must, then God must. And if God must, then we will. We will have a choice not to bring the potential for life, which brings certain death. And at that, in living our lives, we are fit to see. We do not see that. However, we believe that we have a genuine concern for and to each other, but we do not. Should we lose the benefit of a genuine mutual concern to and for each other, everything that we will value after that, if the genuine mutual concern is lost or acted out of ill concern, it makes nothing mean anything forever. A good God might be a good God after finding out the truth. If he is a good God and he sees the truth, it will anger him at best and defile him at worst. No man is immune to the truth. No woman knows truth. Exist as a separate cause from man's ideas, and logic dictates that you must be aware of the truth at all times. And so who really is aware of all that truth we have lost, and all that we have not lost or not found until now, locked into a mortal combat and looking forward to death and its rewards, when it really has none of us, and life really has none of us as well? How are we to see through the pitch black veil of deception and find the wherewithal to overcome our defeat and embrace our lives in a successful manner? It's something which will be an indicator forever to us that if we fail to see the threat, if in front of us, and fail to remember the mistakes behind us, we will never indeed find any success at all. And if we ever really understood that at any time, we should never lose that understanding again, or not have to relearn that understanding over and over. And misery and suffering will be a part of our life until the breaking the bonds of deception forever. The men and women of Troy before the Trojan conflict were born in Troy and died in Troy. And then the 10-year conflict, Troy was sacked. Eventually, they all died. Will be the destruction of mankind, and that if we fail to help one another by caring not for each other, the lack of commitment in that genuine concern we have for each other shall be lost. And that loss we cannot bear. And if it is that we must lose it, it cannot be forced upon us. That we must know our responsibility lies in our genuine concern for our truths, that man knows not what he does, and what he does not do in a time that it needs to get done. All our collective responsibility will be thrown in the trash by our complete lack of effort and no trust for each other whatsoever. And between us and the lack of pity we have of that genuine concern and that mutual need, which we don't share, to be cared for and to have that special result, if it is to be considered as anything special, we will be required to be ourselves and not each other in the sense of the word. That gives us true justice. And the American way needs to be that great. And if it's anyone that's going to like it that much, we will not pretend that to the best of our ability. We don't need at all times a genuine concern not to placate to the past. And that cooperative effort we hold that is so dear to us, must care enough to make it felt as real that we do not dare to dismiss each other, especially in any simple way. And all involved must show a proving spirit of intent in everything they do and say, most of all. What mistake does Achilles make? Interpretation of Apollo's command? He believes that Apollo is Juno in disguise. Helenus is a good-hearted man that wants peace and is willing to fight too. The song, that is sad. Why is it sad? It destroys your sense of honor. Why is it loved by those it weakens and disables? Because the goddess within them loves it. And the sad song, she wants to weaken the state of the mind of the individual. It's also why people use music to pump up. Why don't you use it? My name was Satan, and I was involved in the destruction of the human race. I killed people at will and was without mercy or compassion, and no man crossed my path or lived to see the light of the next day. I was a killer and a cold-hearted individual, and the job I had was to destroy the human race. God was not a patient and peaceful God. I had a huge problem with the men of this world. They had transgressed God in sickly manners and twisted ways. My job is to destroy mankind. The pious, it's a great way to describe it. And remember the Alamo and the soul survivor who crossed the line to save himself, and the memory of the Alamo changed the way you look at the world forever now. Are you willing to cross that line, or are you willing not to cross that line? Using a form of protection, ego, extraneous solution, that emerges from the process of solving the problem. That is a valid solution to the problem, but disappeared during the process of solving the problem. That emerges from the process of solving the problem and supported by an older, more experienced or influential person. That's me. You will have to be able to handle the truth. You will have to be able to handle the truth. You will have to be able to handle the truth. You will have to be able to handle the truth. That's me, Dennis. God is God. I'm not going to be sorry for telling you the truth, and you heard the name. She led me to steal from the certain places and the sacred objects. She told me I needed to find them. She showed me they were there where I imagined I was supposed to take or go to take them. What she was giving to me, she literally set you up for a lifetime of failure and misery. Helen's left hand in the last battle he fought with Hector. He was very unhappy about losing his hand, and he could not fight anymore, and you are also without a hand. Papal infallibility, that is virtue of the promise to when he speaks and presented or is preserved from the possibility of error. Papal infallibility, real presence of the Eucharist, is Jesus a real presence in that? Jesus Christ is present in, not merely symbolic or metaphorical, but in, real and true. And if it does not exist, you cannot go with it. Substantially, it's the way Rome forced education on people and solved a big problem and created a big problem as a result of that. Christian doctrine, make it affordable to talk to God by being doctrine accepted. Dogma, papal infallibility, like the divinity of Christ, immaculate conception, the assumption of Mary, real presence of the Eucharist is in question. 2022 year of Mary and the Eucharist. Confer, it comes from modesty. It doesn't get any better than this. They warrant that. We be equally prudent in drawing in view. Penance, voluntary self-punishment, warrants trusting entities at a high risk of them harming you. To the individual, clear and present danger is required. Unfortunately, and it is not a fact, it just is the fact. Pontifical Roman, pontifical disambiguation, Roman Rite, pontiff. A pontiff was in Rome, antiquity, a member of the most illustrious of the colleagues of the priests of the Roman religion, any high chief priests, bishops, the Pope, Roman pontiff, supreme pontiff, that only a bishop may perform, this only, as a result of that only, ambiguous, having a double meaning, characterized by, of the nature of dangerous, denoting an element in a lower valence. So the way they are trying to solve it is to force man out of himself. As a result, he has no way to learn. Since he is not teaching the world anything anymore, I will help him understand. When it declares that life of the baptized is a combat, power of his spirit is against the world, the flesh, and the demonic beings. The revised liturgy, the U.S. Constitution. If you don't punish them with an outright death, you will give them in left life, a death right, or a life right, left. In the middle, on the 5th, on the eve, made it clear that one of the greatest purposes of the economy of salvation is to bring about the victory over death and the devil. The letters of Hebrews maintains the rule of death later on of St. Paul, declares that sinful St. Paul, that sinful man is under the power of the devil and death. By saving us, God has taken us out. Is once more to abandon oneself, place for us in the kingdom the Son that he loves, the power of the devil. This is in fact renounced Satan. Itself more often that Christ takes us out. In the manner of St. Paul, that our history is a struggle, will continue as the Lord repeated the admonitions. We have to fight against the rulers of this, that the church is truly the kingdom, and for this makes explicit reference to his exorcisms. It was on this occasion, in fact, that the enemy is at the gates, means the truth is obscured beyond all measure. The entire world is in a conspiracy to justify the karmic contract utterly. Friar tucked, an American pilot flying to the enemy, for the enemy, with the enemy, in contact with the enemy, were mere fantasy. Captured knowledge, deeds in combat. For all that Hellenist is remembered, I don't think it was at all possible that he stole the Palladium, or that the Palladium could be stolen. For other deeds, for this one, that only he knew, the suppliant, to bring the bone of Pelops, declared that he feared not death but the gods. But piety and decency above his obligations towards his country, it is purposeless to defend the motherland when it violates all rules, human and divine. Hellenist vows were given by Hera to Athena after Hellenist died. Chromosome number 2, now it's your telomere caps. Chromosome number 2, who sings the fates of the feelings in women, the caps on the telomere of chromosome number 2. X-ray vision says there are good times ahead. Man has got as far as you have, totally. I go to Hellenist, the seer, for these words and ask, the Trojan-born agent of the gods, you know Apollo's will. If a Hellenist has any knowledge, if the seer can be believed, if Apollo fills his spirit with truth, O son of goddess. Honor great Juno's divinity above all with prayer and recite your vows to Juno freely and win over that powerful lady with humble gifts, so at least you'll leave gaze on the raving prophetesses. Hippostatus, underlying substance, fundamental reality, hippostatus, that supports all else, hippostatus of the soul, the intellect, and the one was addressed. Holy Spirit is goddess, the soul, the intellect, the one, the no one. Shared pairs of bonding pairs to form pairs. That involves sharing, attractive, stable balance of repulsive elements. Covalent bonding, when they share, allows the full balance, a state of configuration that involves electrostatic attraction between two opposing charged ions or between two sharply different ions that gain electrons. It is one of the main reasons this transfer is in contrast to ionic bonding. It involves attraction between electromagnetics and the primary interaction occurring in them, the transfer of electrons from a metal to a non-metal, and it lacks predominance. I was the last man to see Minerva, the goddess, alive. She, humanity, she convicted you with crimes of humanity for your part in the Trojan conflict. Crimes of humanity in question. Furthermore, in addition, patterns of failure repeated, Minerva charged me with high crimes of humanity. Minerva disobeyed the goddess's edicts. What edicts? That all men should be treated fairly, if in support and with the goddesses. Men are to be treated equally, if in support and with the goddesses. Gods did not rule the world during the Trojan conflict. She tortured you to death, forcing you to open up and fearing closing in to the death. It's also why all sickness and disease enters in. Start taking yourself back. This instant, here and now, is how I command thee. Me, you, he, she to be, not her two anymore, and break not the commandment. All, none, some, one, not two, second, one. Take up your power this very hour. This is my hour of power. I'm about to devour and kill and destroy men. And the whole world of man shall fall fast to the ground. Helenus, if A does not survive to see the fall of Troy and become a king over many lands, it is she that tricked you into a false, deep loyalty. Loyalty, an absolute blind way to follow a deity. She lied to you on about many things, on how to follow or be loyal to a god or goddess. She is still alive and well without a goddess head in the collective. She was instrumental in opposing the god Zeus and was his daughter Vixen, she-devil, in a disposition and hates him. A woman that is likely a devil, as in edict declared at this time. Torment comes having to pretend and act. She tried to backstab you in the hills by calling the enemy in to capture you. They did come and they did capture you. You went willingly and trustingly. You went with her, completely trusting her. She killed you after torturing you to death, and you suffered in ways unimaginable. Because she hated your kind and wanted to extinguish the Trojan race of men, Hermes got murdered on the mountain, trying to wait to warn Helenus of the true intentions and plans, but Hermes died at the hands of Athena. Athena killed Hermes to stop Hermes from warning Helenus, because the goddesses had a plan to win the Trojan War, although they lost the Trojan War. So you just sued, and a major settlement is possible now, intangible, but it's possible it's tangible. Hermes killed Minerva at the mountain pass, or Hermes was killed at the mountain pass by Athena, so couldn't kill Minerva at the mountain pass, who told Helenus to go to the enemy. Hermes is a good god and likes to help others. Hermes thinks Dennis is a good man and wants to help others too. Dennis wonders if he really is a good man. He really wants to be good, but is willing to be very bad, in fact. Now he wants to call Baal. Tell them I'm sitting here right now. What more do you want? She does not know me. An insult I feel. She feels you, and an insult it is. It's the one insult you're feeling. Throw away your insults. Must not contribute as in, who most excelled in that, which masters everything, can never obtain to this, with all her and without it judgment itself, can at best be but steal wisely. Having said this to the heretic adds that there are two works to begin in the following, and it is better for us that the heretic adds that. The devil, he also adds that of the corporal beings created by the devil, the heretic, who so expresses himself, was known in the past, today is one, to bring about victory over death, made it clear that one victory over death, and the devil is you approved of him. The devil maintains the rule of death. Death later on presented it in as a liberation from death, declares that sinful is under the power of the devil, that he loves it and is in a place for us in. That's about it. I'll read more later. Those were just notes. Well, I can go through some of this stuff. I'll skip around because I don't have time to do this. I've got about 10 minutes left. What should I do next? Be vigilant and resupply yourself. Angel, apostate, or principal, a person who renounces a religious belief. Ban on, summon by a public proclamation. Comparing apostate with animal behavior is evoked and a lie. Hypostatic personality is a view asserting that presents themselves in, they relate to, including different, it is both. The model falls into and fails into and is a failure too. The model is the two before being prime. The problem is the solution. The solution is the problem. How do you like that? Because separate the two are and one gains the other, loses it or switches it or reverses it. In the prime, the two become one. Neither can lose and both gain the loss. As a gain, they can't lose. Or the disposition after the prime is fatal. That's it. I'll do the rest later. I'll see you next one.